So now let us go ahead with the topic Autotrophic Nutrition, which is 5.2, whereas 5.1 is Introduction to Life Process, and this is 5.2 in the unit 5, which is Life Process in 10th class CBSE book. Okay, hope you are all good. Welcome to this video. And in this video, we'll be discussing about how plants make their own food. What is this term own food? What does it mean? The own food means even you are having food, I am having food every day, right? So is it not our own food? You are having your food and I am having my food. Then what is the own food concept here? So if you want to make a food, you have to go to market and you have to get some raw materials, right? So even I am doing the same. But did you see any plant going to market? No, right? So they are preparing their own food. They are manufacturing their own food. Okay, but we are preparing from the materials that are taken from the plants. Okay, so there is a difference. They are generating or making the material, and we are converting that material or we are processing that material to make our food. Okay, next let us jump into the next slide. Before going to the topic, let me introduce myself. Myself, Subhash Kumar. I have completed my Masters in Environmental Sciences in the year 2022, where in the same year I have cleared SET, which is an Assistant Professor Qualification exam in the second year itself. Now my goal is to give you good content related to biology, which makes you understand easily. So, what is an autotroph? This is one of the self-explanatory words where the word auto means self and the word troph means nutrition. Okay. Next, autotrophs are self-feeders. They feed themselves. That means unlike you and me, they won't go anywhere to get their raw materials for the food. They will use some raw materials and they will prepare the food on their own. They are not depending upon any animal or any plant. They are making food on their own. Okay. So rather than using the word making, we can say they create. Okay. They create their own food from simple inorganic substances. From the simple inorganic substances. Simple inorganic substances. Troph. The word troph means nutrition. The process of self-feeding is also called as autotrophic nutrition. The word nutrition. What is the word nutrition? Acquiring nutrients. Nutrient acquisition. Nutrient acquisition is known as nutrition. The process of taking nutrients is known as nutrition. Next, the most common form is photosynthesis. Again, this is also a self-explanatory word. Just like autotrophs, this is also a self-explanatory word. Photo means light. Synthesis means to prepare. Let us discuss about this in the upcoming slides. The recipe for photosynthesis. It needs some ingredients to prepare. You know the word recipe, right? The process of making is nothing but a recipe. So, ingredient 1, which is sunlight. This is the main and only source for all the organisms on this planet Earth. Next, the cook, which is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the cook. So what is the function of chlorophyll here? Chlorophyll will simply trap the light or absorb the light, which is a form of energy. And chlorophyll is a green pigment that absorbs or traps the sunlight. Clear? Next ingredient, which is carbon dioxide. The gas that you and me release out is known as carbon dioxide, which is taken from the air, available in the air as you and me are releasing into the air. Along with us, volcanic activity and even plants release CO2. Whenever they use the food that they make, they will release CO2 as well, just like we do. Next ingredient, which is water. The water will be absorbed by the plants from the soil. And remember these formulas for carbon dioxide and water. Okay, you need them in the photosynthesis reaction. In this slide, we have discussed about the ingredients needed. One is sunlight, second one is carbon dioxide, third one is water. Along with all these, they need chlorophyll to absorb the sun energy. Next. Here comes the chemical equation for photosynthesis. In this image, you can see that sunlight will be absorbed by the plant. Next, CO2. CO2 will be taken by the plant, and water is also taken by the plant, and along with taking all these three things, plant will give out oxygen and also the carbohydrates, whose formula is C6H12O6. C6H12O6 is the formula for carbohydrates. Okay, so carbon dioxide, CO2 plus H2O, water, in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll will give glucose, which is a carbohydrate, and oxygen. Okay, so ultimately glucose is the food material where we have to focus more on, and oxygen is the byproduct. Oxygen is the byproduct, glucose is the main product that plants prepare. And this glucose or this food will be used by the plants, and the remaining will be stored, which is in the form of fruits and vegetables, and some plants will store in the leaves itself. That is what we take to make our food. Okay, no plant is preparing food for yourself, no plant is preparing food for myself, but they are preparing for themselves, yet we are stealing it for our livelihood. See the next slide. What happens to the food? Immediate energy. Carbohydrates are used right away for the plant's life process. Immediately when the plant produces or immediately when the plant makes carbohydrates, they will be directly used by the plants for their life processes. Plant storage. They will prepare a lot of food. They are very good creatures. They prepare excess food and they won't waste excess food like us. They will store it in the form of starch, and that starch will be used by the plants whenever they are not in the availability of sunlight or any nutrients or water. When some crisis occurs, they can't undergo photosynthesis. During that time, they will store that food. There are many other reasons why the starch is stored by the plant. Let us discuss in further topics. Okay, next. They use it as a reserve food and they will use it later. And when we compare this storage with the human beings, just like we store the energy in the form of glycogen, they are also storing the food in the form of fruits and vegetables and also in the other body parts for its reserve energy. Next slide. There are three steps in photosynthesis. One is absorption, second one is conversion, third one is reduction. Okay. Now, first one is absorption. Simply the chlorophyll absorbs the light. That is the first step in photosynthesis, which is absorption. And the next one is conversion. The light energy is converted to chemical energy first. Okay, and with the help of this chemical energy, the water will be divided into hydrogen and oxygen, which is H2 and O2. Clear? Next, the reduction process. What is reduction first of all? According to chemistry, the reduction means the removal of oxygen or addition of hydrogen or the addition of electron. Okay, so this is reduction, and through this process of reduction the carbon dioxide is reduced to carbohydrates using the chemical energy. So the carbohydrates are made from the carbon dioxide taken and the oxygen is released from the water taken. Generally what we think is CO2 has O2 in it, that oxygen will be released. No, the oxygen released is from water. Carbohydrates are made is from carbon dioxide. You will learn deeper or you will learn in depth about this in your upcoming classes. Next, ingredient 1, chlorophyll. What is the main role of chlorophyll and where will it be present? This is the structure of chlorophyll, which is an important diagram for your exam again. Okay, try to practice this diagram and you can download this diagram from my website. I'll give you the link down here. Okay, so this is present inside the plant cell. It is one of the cell organelles. It is one of the cell organelles. So that is given here. Found in the cell organelles called chloroplast. Chlorophyll is a pigment. Chloroplast is a cell organelle. And inside that chloroplast, you can see the chlorophyll pigment. What is the function of chlorophyll pigment? And first of all, discuss about that little more before its function. It is green in color, and that is the reason why the leaves are green in color, because of the presence of chlorophyll pigment and chloroplast, we can say, because chlorophyll is present in chloroplast. Next, their main job is to trap energy from the sunlight. The main function of chloroplast is to grab the energy from the sunlight. Ingredient 2, which is carbon dioxide. So this carbon dioxide will be absorbed by the help of another plant part, which is stomatal complex. Stomata will have a lot of components in it, and all of them together called stomatal complex. All of them together called as stomatal complex. And here this is the stomatal opening. Through this opening, the intake of carbon dioxide, at the same time the release of O2 will be taking place. And also these stomata will help in transpiration as well. They helps in transpiration as well. Transpiration is a loss of water. Let us talk about this in upcoming classes later. Next, how the CO2 enters the leaf. Through the tiny pores on the surface of the stomata. On the surface of the stomata, we can see some small pores. Through those pores, the CO2 enters. Just now I told you, right? Next, these pores are opened and closed by the guard cells. This is the guard cell. This is the guard cell. This is the another guard cell. So these guard cells, whenever they open and close, the gases exchange is also controlled. Guard cells swell with water to open the pore, and they shrink, they will lose water to close, and they controls the gaseous exchange. Other raw materials from the soil along with water, which is the key ingredient for photosynthesis, which will be taken from the soil by the roots of the plants. Okay, and along with water and carbon dioxide, there are some other nutrients required. Among one of them is nitrogen, which is in the form of N2, and plants will take this nitrogen in the form of nitrates and nitrites. Why do they need nitrogen? To make the proteins and some other compounds. So from this we can understand proteins are nitrogenous compounds. Okay. Next, there are some other minerals that plants need, which are phosphorus, iron, and magnesium. These are very important. Still, they need some other nutrients. These are the important nutrients required by the plants to build their body and maintain the bodily functions. So if you have any questions regarding this topic, you can simply comment this video. Commenting is the best way to reach me out. I will clear all your doubts looking at the comments itself. Okay, and in the next class of this playlist, we will be going through the heterotrophic nutrition. And if you have any doubts or if you want to get the notes for this topic, go to youreducator.com, which is my website. I will be uploading all the documents there related to the notes and all. And you can mail me. Thank you all for listening up to here. Share this video to your friends and ask them to go through this in detail, and if you have any doubts, get back to me again. Okay, thank you.